Hello friends, how are you? Hope you are all preparing well. Welcome to yet another session on essay perspectives. Topic for today is the cure for evils of democracy is more democracy. Okay friends, before much ado we will jump into the topic. Friends, as always, I have a personal request. So please, the pirated copies are of very low print quality. So don't buy pirated copies and get fooled. Please buy original copies of my book from the seller affordable on Amazon and Arvind Books on Flipkart. Thank you. Friends, as I have told you, the moment you get an essay topic, rather than getting convinced by the topic itself, rather than aligning your stand or your opinion to the topic given, you have to question, friends. Then only your essay becomes analytical. Now the given topic is the cure for evils of democracy is more democracy. Most of the aspirants will take this statement to be true and then just they try to elaborate or substantiate or expand this statement, which will not fetch you good marks. Rather, you will have to rephrase in your mind the same topic as whether the cure for evils of democracy is more democracy or something else. So thus, when you question like this, then you will try to think from various perspectives, and then you will the essay that you write automatically becomes analytical. Otherwise, your essay will be one of those unidimensional. It will just try to support the statements which will not fetch you good marks. As always friends, before we start essay, we have to conceptualize the essay as being made of various components and subcomponents. So the components for this essay is introduction, benefits of democracy, evils of democracy, solutions for evils of democracy, dangers of non-democratic solutions, then conclusion. Do you not think there is a logical coherence from one component to another component, friends? So once you jot down all your ideas in the first half an hour or so, or say 20 minutes, then you will have to club those ideas into various components and then link each component to its preceding component so that essay becomes logically coherent. So same strategy I have applied here. So here the component is, first I will introduce the topic, then I will touch upon the benefits of democracy first. Then when I briefly explain the benefits of democracy, then I will talk about evils of democracy. Then I will supply solutions to the evils of democracy. Then the solutions will be both democratic solutions and non-democratic solutions. Then I will describe the dangers or pitfalls associated with non-democratic solutions, and then I will conclude. Friends, here I want to just tell you 2 or 3 points about conclusion also, friends. See friends, before you start writing an essay, you should have the clarity of conclusion. If you don't have the clarity of conclusion, then you will not be able to write an essay. It should be like a reverse engineering types. Maybe in the exam hall, the moment you get the topic, it is on the face of the topic, you will not be able to decide upon the conclusion, I agree. But once you start thinking for say 20 minutes or so, then you will get lot of ideas. And that would include some brainstorming also. In such a scenario, after thinking and after churning out most of the ideas, you will get some clarity. Once you get that clarity, then you will have to first decide upon the conclusion. Then once you decide upon the conclusion, then you should reverse engineer and you should adjust all other components accordingly. This is very important. If you don't have clarity on the conclusion and then start writing an essay, take it from me friends, you will be writing something, suddenly your mind will think, this may not be true, this is also true. So you will try to take a different stand. You will have taken stand 1 in say half of the essay. At the end of half of the essay, you will think that stand 2 is correct. You will try to readjust, and then your essay becomes mess. You will never get good marks actually. So first and foremost thing is having clarity about the conclusion even before starting an essay is the predominant thing. And the second thing about conclusion is that, friends, conclusion has to be analytical and and should be what to say, should be different from the topic given, if I may say so. Because if your conclusion is also like the cure for ills of democracy is more democracy, then there is not much interesting involved with it, and then you will never get good marks also. So your conclusion must be something different. So you can say, rather than for this topic, I will give a example of some other topic. When I wrote my exam, the topic was, are standardized tests a true measure of academic progress? Then the conclusion that I decided upon is, those standardized tests are not the true measure of academic progress, but in view of the alternatives, this is the best. Something like that. That clarity if you have, then marching ahead, your essay becomes meaningful and it will definitely fetch you above average marks. Okay friends, now let us start the topic. So the first is introduction. How do you introduce the topic? You can introduce the topic by giving 4 scenarios. At least that's what I thought. Scenario 1 is successful democracy that we see in US and Singapore. Scenario 1, with strong democratic institutions being, answering the evils of democracies themselves. So these 2 countries have ensured both social and economic well-being of citizens. Second is failed democracy. Zimbabwe has failed to find any solution, though it is continuing with the democratic institutions. It has failed to find solution for evils of democracy in democracy, and because of that, it has led to below average socio and economic well-being of citizens. So then, successful non-democracy. For the China, a country like China has been successful in finding solution for evils of democracy in non-democratic form of government, like one-party rule. But however, it has become successful in ensuring socio-economic well-being of citizens. Next, failed non-democracy. In an attempt to find solutions for the evils of democracy in non-democratic forms of government, both Egypt and Libya, or even Iraq for that matter, has floundered, has become failure. So from these 4 scenarios, it is, a prima facie, it becomes very difficult to come to a conclusion or to convince ourselves whether solutions for the ills of democracy lies in democracy or in other forms of the government. In order to, thus, these 4 examples provide enough start for us to analyze the underpinnings of both democracy and other forms of government, to conclude, to explore whether the solutions for the ills of democracy lies within the democracy or outside the democracy. So like that you can start the topic, and then you can just write about democracy. In the introduction itself, it is important to write about democracy, meaning of democracy. So according to me, friends, democracy is a form, of course all of us are aware of the Abraham Lincoln's statement, of the people, by the people, for the people. But though that is a very popular definition of democracy, though it sounds very philosophical and it is very easy to understand by every common man, but according to me, in concrete terms, democracy is a form of government where executive is responsible to the popular legislature. Then friends, it is important to talk about the evils of, before we talk about the evils of democracy, it becomes important for us to discuss the benefits of democracy, but it has to be very brief, friends. Brief in the sense, why I am saying very brief is, see, all of us, knowingly or unknowingly, are advocates and staunch champions of democracy. So, if you start writing and supporting the democracy, knowingly or unknowingly, you will fill your at least 30-40% of your essay with only benefits of democracy. Thus, the actual topic is, you have to address the cures, you have to address the evils of democracy, not the benefits of democracy. Only to make the essay logically coherent, it is important to write about benefits of democracy also before discussing the evils of democracy. Thus, you cannot afford to write for more than, like, say, maximum you can write about benefits of democracy in a page or so. That means maximum 100 to 150 words may you will have to necessarily finish writing about benefits of democracy. Just to briefly touch upon them. Otherwise, what happens, without writing the benefits, you explain the meaning of the democracy and then you suddenly jump into the demerits of the democracy. It does not logically connect introduction and the evils. In between, there should be some benefits of democracy needs to be put in. Then only the essay becomes logically coherent. Then friends, thus it has to be in brief. So let me also explain it in brief only. The first thing is, democracy offers representation to every citizen, both in terms of voting, also in terms of being eligible to public offices. So thus there is no discrimination. Then democracy, since the decisions are mostly taken by executive, which is responsible to a popular legislature, which is again, that popular legislature comprises people from every section of the society, then thus the decisions taken by executive, the policy decisions and the legislations made by the legislatures are bound to advance collective interest rather than advancing any narrow or parochial interests. Then equality and equity. So now another advantage with democracy is, of course, as I told you, every citizen is treated equal, and a citizen who is not who doesn't have access to the equal opportunity will be given more opportunity, will be given preference, which is called positive discrimination or preferential treatment, whatever we call. That is another advantage, so that it will not just strengthen the strengths of one community, it will try to convert the weakness of weak people into strengths also. Then inclusive growth. So as I told you, democracy would advance collective interest. So finally it will lead to the growth of all sections of society. Then very importantly, division of powers. So division of powers, it's very important because democracy will ensure that no single institution is entrusted or is endowed with all power that will make that institution so powerful that the democratic structure itself may get subverted. So in order to avoid such a possibility, democracy divides powers and distributes into various institutions, so that any attempt by one institution to subvert the constitution or democracy will be checked and balanced by other institutions. Then balanced regional development. In democracy, every region gets equal representation or equitable representation, if I may say so. Then that will lead to balanced regional development rather than the development being concentrated in one area. Friends, now we have come to a very important stage in this essay. So here now we have to discuss about evils of democracy. So what are the evils of democracy? The topic is the cure for evils of democracy is more democracy. Thus, before talking about the cure for the evils of democracy, first we have to talk about those evils. See friends, it is important to see, okay, let me put it this way. Evils of democracy is a very abstract term. So if you just write your essay simply saying that evils of democracy, it will not fetch you more marks. You will have to define what are those evils. You can enlist some of those evils for illustration sake or for clarity sake, and then how these evils get addressed in democracy, how these evils can get addressed in non-democratic setups. So if you think like that, then your essay becomes excellent. So here, that's why friends, first you will have to enlisting the evils of democracy is very important. Okay, otherwise you just say evils of democracy, it will not fetch you good marks. Okay, now what are the evils of democracy? First one is minority exploitation by majority. This is something which is almost everyone says that democracy is a government by majority, because in most of the democratic setups it is like first past post the system, wherein a person or a community which is more in number will get more representation. Thus minorities who are less in number will be subjected to exploitation. This is the first evil of democracy. You can quote the example of many examples: persecution of Hindus in some Pakistan or whatever. We often read in newspapers, and even Rohingya Muslims being persecuted in Myanmar. So everywhere it is there. So that is one major problem with democracy. Second one is myopic. What is myopic, friends? Myopic means having short term. Myopic literally means having a shorter vision. So that means it is like short termism, if I may quote so. So thus democracy formulates policies, democracy executes policies with short term orientation. Why is this so? Because a democratic government intends to show results to the public before the next elections. So thus, if the government wants to do something, the government wants to do it within the next 4 or 5 years. Thus government will not take up the projects whose gestation period is beyond the tenure of the government, or whose results we will not be able to see before the next election. So thus it is myopic. Then policy paralysis. Democracy seeks to balance almost every interest. So thus stakeholder consultation, thus consultation at every level, discussions, etc. will prolong the process of decision making, leading to policy paralysis. Then lack of specialist rule. Under democracy, people elect their representatives who need not be specialists, but yet they make laws, yet they become ministers and decide on even the most technical aspects. For example, whether India should undertake nuclear research or not is decided in so many times by persons who do not even have any background of nuclear science. So many times decisions on defense, decisions on space, nuclear science, nuclear research, even all such decisions are taken by common people or generalists who are elected by people. Thus, that specialist inputs or the specialist angle to the decisions is mostly missing. Then scope for corruption. So given that the government's power or tenure is only a short term, so and also there is mostly because of that there is lot of scope for corruption. This corruption gets magnified, multiplied because of electoral expenditure, because of electoral frauds, because of criminalization of politics, etc. So all these things are evils of democracy. Friends, you are free, you can come up with other evils of democracy also. For me, all these points only struck my mind. You are free, you can suggest more evils and include them in your essay. Now friends, now I would call this the heart of your essay. Here now what I have done, once you have enlisted and explained the evils of democracy, then it becomes very important for you to take every evil and provide solutions to every evil from in a democratic setup and in a non-democratic setup. Okay, so the solutions to the evil, the cure for these evils individually has to be supplied. Some solutions from democratic setups, some solutions from non-democratic setups. Okay, then you can say between democratic setup and between non-democratic setup, which one is more appropriate, whether the cure for evils of democracy lies in more democracy or in non-democracy. Thus, if you analyze this for every evil which I have just enlisted, then at the end of the last evil that would be discussed, you will have a conclusion. Automatically your essay becomes logically coherent. Now let us take first one is minority exploitation. What is the solution for minority exploitation under democratic setup, friends? The democratic solution is reservation to minorities. See, we are aware in a country like India, where there are linguistic minorities, where there are religious minorities, and friends, also minorities doesn't merely mean religious minorities. It also means linguistic minorities and other types of minorities. Okay, so the democratic solution is reservation to minorities. So you can have reservations to minorities. There are so many states which offer reservation to minorities so that they also get equitable representation in government setup, equitable representation in other major areas. So you can even propose minority representation in parliament, in legislatures also. Though in India it is not there, but that is one possibility. So the best example is India, because some states provide reservation to minorities in jobs, reservation to minorities in education, etc., etc., so that minorities don't get injustice. So the solution for minority exploitation is reservation to the minorities. Then second thing is, let us say, non-democratic solution. Non-democratic solution is, under non-democratic solution, so many times there is no solution for this minority exploitation. There is solution for minority exploitation under non-democratic institutions only if, say, if the party in power, or if the person in power has tolerance towards them. It depends on the whims and fancies of the party in power or the person in power. If they do not have tolerance, if they profess intolerance towards minorities, then minorities will get washed out. Thus, the cure for minority exploitation, evil of democracy, lies only in democracy through minority representation, but under other forms of government, that is left to the whims, fancies and ideologies of the person in power or party in power, which is, if that party or person in power is intolerable towards minorities, then there will be genocides, there will be pogroms, and the minorities will get washed away. Okay, thus for the first evil, the best example is Hitler, friends. What happened? Hitler believed in the supremacy of Aryan race. So he hatched a policy to systematically eliminate and exterminate the minority Jews. We know about Holocaust, we know about how the Jews were persecuted, how they had to flee their homeland to get settled in various parts of Europe. So thus, from this discussion, you can, to this extent, the cure for this evil of democracy lies in more democracy rather than in other forms of democracy. Then second one, myopic, that is short-termism. What is a democratic solution? Friends, rather than having 5-year tenure, under democracy you can have 10-year tenure, 15-year tenure. What stops you from doing that? Then thus the solution for that, for the myopic aspect of evil of democracy, lies in amending the constitution, in extending the term of the government, nothing beyond that. And also you can build a long-term perspective into the constitution. Maybe democratic constitution itself may be formulated by incorporating the principles that will say that every government shall necessarily do these policies. Just as we have directive principles of state policies in India, which are DPSP is just a directive. So what if you have some So some policies set out stating that every year the government has to necessarily build so many industries. So much of budget should necessarily be spent on health and education and nutrition. Something like that. Thus, if constitution itself is formulated with the principles that would that would guide the government, or that would mandate the government to undertake some long-term policies, then perhaps the solution for the short-termism gets addressed. So, thus the solution for this evil of democracy lies in democracy itself. Then, non-democratic solution. What happens in non-democratic solution? What is the non-democratic solution? Say, arey yaar, you give power to one party, one person forever. That is the non-democratic solution. Thus, if you do like that, then finally it will, what if regressive policies are taken into consideration? What if regressive policies are formulated and kept on implemented for a longer time? That will lead to more harm than doing anything good. Thus, friends, the solution for this evil of democracy lies in democracy itself. So the third evil is policy paralysis, friends. Why is there policy paralysis most of the times? In democracy, most of the times there is policy paralysis because in order to speed up policy formulation, or in order to, so many times the consultations do not happen properly. If consultations do not happen properly, somebody will object and finally the policies gets stalled or stagnated. Then how do you, then is there a solution for this policy paralysis in more democracy? Yes, there is. What happens now, friends? There will be some elected representatives. Those elected representatives, they will their opinion is taken to be the opinion of the entire population they represent. So because of that, so many times, sometimes some community, some association, some section of society will object to the policies, leading to policy paralysis. See, policy paralysis happens in two ways, friends. Number one, when the policy is being rolled out, there will be lot of opposition from the public, and that will lead to that will lead to government to rethink, and that's how the policies formulation or implementation will get delayed. This is one way in which policy paralysis happens. What is the second way in which policy paralysis happens? There will be so many times too much of consultations, too much of discussions, too much of debates. So that will also lead to policy paralysis. These are the two ways in which policy paralysis happens. How more democracy answers this policy paralysis? See, firstly, since if now present democracies, elected representatives are taken to be the representatives of the entire population. But what does more democracy enunciate? More democracy advocate? More democracy advocates that the public opinion is taken. So then you formulate a way, formulate a mean, formulate a mechanism in which the wider consultations happen. Like that, you can have public meetings, you can have online forums, so you can allow public to send representations to government, etc., etc., etc. Thus, more democracy, once all the points, all the representations received from the public is scientifically analyzed and then finally scientifically incorporated, then perhaps you will have the less opposition once the policy gets rolled out. And more than anything, at least people also will have that sense. As of course, we were also consulted. I also could submit my opinion. They will say, okay, fine, at least we were considered. Then the opposition comes down. Otherwise, what happens? So many sections of society would feel cheated that they were not consulted in taking a policy decision which would affect them. Thus, more democracy with wider consultations beyond elected representatives is one solution in which the policy paralysis can be prevented from the perspective of policies being opposed once they are rolled out or once they are being discussed. Second thing is, the second problem is what? The second problem is there will be too much of discussions. Too much of discussions means, of course, too much of discussions are necessary. However, you build timelines into it. That means for taking consent of the public opinion 1 month, for taking opinion of some experts 2 months, something like that. If timelines are also properly built into it, then perhaps that problem will get resolved. Thus, democracy, or thus more democracy would offer cure to this evil of democracy. Okay, is there any non-democratic cure to this evil of democracy? What is policy paralysis, friends? Policy decisions are not taken quickly. In what happens? What is the other way of attacking or fighting against this policy paralysis? You roll out the policy without any consultation. Is it correct? No. Because once if this is done, then slowly, policies will not be people friendly. There will be civil unrest. There will be topple of government only. So thus, the cure for the policy paralysis evil of democracy lies in more democracy equals more consultations with defined timelines. Okay, the cure for policy paralysis of policy paralysis evil of democracy does not lie in other non-democratic setups. Then the fourth evil. What is the fourth evil? Lack of specialist role. What is the democratic solution for that? See, friends, you have the scope for hiring consultants under democracy. You have the scope for having, you can even give representation to nominated members who are experts. That is what is done in Rajya Sabha. 12 people are nominated. So by doing these things, actually, the disadvantage emanating from specialist rule, for lack of specialist rule, can be addressed. So then, friends, actually then, even like hiring consultants or nominated members, etc., this also can be a powerful tool in ensuring specialist opinion, expert opinion, and taking forward the policy in the best interest of public. So thus the solution for this evil of democracy lies in having some provision for experts in the democracy itself. Or you can very well, democracy also can very well have provision for electing the experts, electing the specialists, specify the qualifications, specify the academic background, specify the experience qualification. Let people only elect the experts who will act as advisors to the government. Thus the solution for that evil of democracy lies in more democracy only. What is the solution offered by non-democratic setups? One is newcracy, it is called, which is rule by vice. That means you will make all the experts, all the intelligent people to rule the country. But however, friends, it will lead to evading the broader perspective. A nuclear scientist would believe that nuclear research is the solution for all the problems. Then he would say, let us divert all the money to nuclear research. Let us not spend any money on providing basic necessities to the people like PDS, like food, etc. So let us say you make some defense expert, the defense minister, and then the defense expert will say that protecting the country is far more important rather than providing amenities to the people. He will advise for spending more and more money only to purchase of weapons or to training military forces, etc. Thus, rule by vice has the problem or has the demerit of getting carried away by their reliance on the importance of their domains and totally neglecting the public welfare. So thus the solution for this evil of democracy lies in more democracy or just in democracy rather than in other forms of setup. Okay, then the last evil is corruption, friends. Friends, corruption is a universal thing. It is not just an offshoot of democracy. This evil of democracy persists in other forms of government also. However, other forms of government may not have any standing or may not have any necessity to fight against this evil. Suppose there is an autocratic regime. There nobody will question you, no institution to question you if you indulge in corruption. The best example is Iraq's Saddam Hussein, Libya's Gaddafi of Libya, etc. etc. They just indulged in corruption because there was no one to question them. But however, democracy, though there is scope for corruption within the democracy, democracy itself offers a solution for that also, friends. The first solution is ombudsman. Democracy mein there is a provision to have a ombudsman like Lokayukta, so who will definitely who will act as anti-corruption watchdog. And also the second thing is, under democracy every minister is put to public scrutiny, every public representative is put to public scrutiny at the time of elections. So thus the solution for this evil doesn't lie in non-democratic setups, it lies in democracy only. And another more democratic thing that we see in countries like Switzerland is the provision for recall. If a minister, if a public representative is found to be corrupt, then the public have all the rights to recall him and get a new person elected to the public office. Thus the solution for this evil also lies in democracy itself, friends. Okay friends, now conclusion. Now we have analyzed each and every evil of democracy, and then we have provided solution for each and every evil under democratic setup and non-democratic setup. Then we have also explained as to why a solution under non-democratic setup is not desirable, why a solution for the evil of democracy under a democratic setup is desirable. So now friends, you can very well conclude stating that though democracy is beset with many evils, the cure for those evils does not lie beyond democracy but lies within the democracy. You can very well resort to the quote by Winston Churchill which says that democracy is the worst form of government except for all others. That means though there is problems associated with democracy, the solutions for those problems are not found away from the democracy but they are found within the democracy. Friends, a few of you may, before I end, a few of you may have this doubt that sir, the topic says the solution, the cure for evils of democracy is more democracy. But in your discussion, throughout the discussion, you have just said that the cure for evils of democracy is democracy itself. Then you have not taken into account the word more. So that also I just want to conclude, I just want to clarify, friends. What do you mean by more democracy? More democracy, according to me, means continuing with the democracy. That's it. Continuing with the democracy, continuing with firm belief in democratic principles, continuing with or strengthening the democratic institutions, or finding solutions for problems of democracy within democracy itself. That is more democracy. So, as I explained to you under policy paralysis, you go for wider consultation. As I explained to you under lack of specialist rule, you try to hire the people with expertise from amongst people itself. Let people only elect experts as well. Thus, or even recall for that matter. If you say absence of recall is democracy, presence of recall is more democracy. That's it, friends. Friends, if you wish, you can specify or clarify this the meaning that you associate with with more democracy in the essay itself. In the beginning itself, after you explain the evils of democracy, you can very well state that more democracy actually means continuing with democracy, actually means strengthening the democratic institutions, and finding the solutions for democratic problems within the democracy itself. You can explicitly state those things, and then you can start solutions to the evils of democracy. Then your even the examiner will not have much confusion, or he will definitely appreciate the way you have taken the essay. Friends, that's all from my side. Thank you. All the best.